Hello, you wonderful soul. When you hear the term addiction, many people first think of things like tobacco, cannabis, alcohol, or maybe even something worse indeed. But from a shamanic perspective, it goes even further and can also manifest in various habits, such as that you are a workaholic, have extreme eating behaviors, or want to eat too much chocolate, just as an example, for example. Or if you maintain unhealthy relationships or simply want to have excessive amounts of sex, that can also be an addiction. And from a shamanic perspective, how addictions and dependencies arise and what you can specifically do to change them, I will address here. It's a very exciting topic. Stay tuned. My name is Ralph Riedel, on the shamanic path for almost 20 years, and I am initiated in the tradition of the Incas and the tradition of the Blackfoot. You're looking for some relaxation, so you sit down comfortably on the couch in the evening, maybe with a pizza, and watch a movie in the evening. And in doing so, a feeling of relaxation, switching off, and blocking out reality might arise, including the issues that may be weighing on you from the day. And afterwards, there might even be some chocolate and a bit of fun. And because you found it so enjoyable, which you find incredibly fulfilling and rewarding, you now start making this habit a ritual every evening. And these habits are, of course, interchangeable. Whether you want to smoke cigarettes, drink alcohol, smoke cannabis, or do other things. When pleasure becomes a habit, I speak of such things as reliances and dependencies and addictions. And if you are really honest with yourself, in all honesty, it might genuinely be that your mind actually tells you, I can stop any time, but you just don't, indeed. And from a shamanic perspective, in essence, habits are in fact energy beings, so-called elementals, that we constantly recreate. And if we nurture these habits by those engaging in these practices over a longer period, these elementals become increasingly charged and a certain momentum can develop, where you feel like you can't break free from them because these energy beings, so to speak, for example, have a certain self-intelligence from a shamanic perspective to give you a better understanding. And very importantly, imagine that you have elementals. And that's completely normal. In fact, everyone actually creates them on the energetic level, but you are not the elemental. And all we can simply do is to just stop giving energy to these elementals that burden us. And as a result, they will gradually become weaker and weaker, eventually. What we can do specifically is to recognize that initial impulse, whatever it may be for you, and understand it deeply. Recognize its significance and how it affects us in various situations, so that we can then resist it. And for that, it is indeed also important to know what truly drives or motivates you to behave the way you do. So what is it that makes it so hard for you to let go, perhaps? And it's not about actually comprehending things and really making a rational decision from your head, because if that were indeed the case, it would work every time you wanted to stop. And therefore, I would like to invite you to dive deeper together with me into the mystical world of emotions and explore, and that's exactly what drives you to do it. And basically, the first step is to develop an awareness of your feelings and learn to sense what you are experiencing in various different moments of your life and experiences. For example, if we take this topic, you come home and can now do exactly what you want. In fact, actually, and now I would like to invite you to press the pause button with me, just like in a movie, together. And just before you want to indulge in your addictive behavior, whatever it may be, take a moment to feel inside yourself. What are you feeling in this moment, this feeling right now? Why do you want this experience? And it might be that the answer is perhaps I just want to relax. I want to find peace. I want to forget stress. I just want to withdraw. And now comes the important part. This is linked with this habit. This is what you long for on an emotional level. And now you have linked it with your habit, your addictive behavior. And that's exactly what you're looking for, the emotional level. And I can understand that very well. And if you want, I would like to invite you to go even deeper. If you now recognize this feeling for yourself, then I would like to invite you to ask yourself the question, why do you want to relax? Why do you want to calm down or withdraw into yourself, for example, at certain moments, perhaps? What do you feel now before you do that? And for many people, there is an underlying feeling, such as not being good enough, feeling overwhelmed, or having too little energy for oneself, or a feeling of being trapped in a life and not being able to live your true self. And there can also be an underlying pain that is hard to identify, like sadness, despair, guilt, or shame. If you really start to learn, step by step, to go deeper. Of course, this is also a process, so if you can't delve deeper into it right now, that's completely fine. You might also need some professional help for this, such as consulting a therapist or a counselor who specializes in the area you are struggling with. If you allow yourself to feel within, it might be that just by becoming aware of the underlying feeling you have personally, you can already change your behavior. This awareness can lead to a deeper understanding of your emotions and how they influence your actions. And I speak from personal experience because before I followed the shamanic path, I too had indeed lost myself in these dependencies. And one evening, at that precise moment, as I felt deep within myself, I suddenly realized that I had a very extremely sharp pain in my heart, a profound sadness associated with it. And I realized that I truly wanted to run away from it, to really numb myself, to no longer feel this deeply painful. And then there was also a feeling of hopelessness, helplessness, and being overwhelmed, which can also be additionally active, in particular. And when I was able to perceive it that way that evening, I immediately stopped because it was clear to me that I wanted to find another way to live my true self that evening without any hesitation, or learn to deal with this feeling constructively and gradually dissolve it. And another motivation might be you are still searching for more joy in life, which you can't find in your everyday life. So we want to capture a moment of happiness, and then it may be that you temporarily experience that brief moment of happiness through this habit, or can in some way distract yourself so that you don't feel the pain as intensely. And now the question arises, if there were a way to dissolve these heavy emotions or energies, considering various approaches and techniques, including mindfulness practices, cognitive behavioral strategies, and holistic approaches, or for you to be permanently happy with yourself, to learn to activate a lasting inner peace within you so that you can finally feel at home within yourself and truly experience this in your daily life. What would specifically change in your life? And you can't find this answer through logical thinking in your mind, because our mind only knows the old life in any possible way. You can only feel this answer deep in your heart. That means, if this possibility really existed, what would my life look like clearly? That you now learn to give yourself permission to immerse in this feeling during an exercise and perceive what would concretely change in your life. And now I even want to take it a step further. What if there were a way to live your true and authentic self in all your greatness, without losing yourself in an addiction or being trapped in a role that you are not truly meant to be? What would change specifically? Yes, and that is exactly the point on the mystical level of 2001, the world of emotions. Imagine there are situations or feelings within you that are so heavy that you no longer want to feel them and want to run away from them, because of course, no one has ever shown you how to deal with them. And on the other hand, there is also the longing to finally lead a life, to arrive within yourself, to live your true self, to show your greatness, and you now feel this longing too, but you don't know how to achieve it. If you are truly and completely honest with yourself now, these are exactly and precisely the questions to which we have not been able to give ourselves a satisfactory answer, or were not willing to unfold or develop ourselves fully in the past. Or also to turn towards our heavy emotions, so that we can indeed learn to deal with ourselves differently. And if you are now ready to give yourself concrete answers, 2001, and really do what is necessary, then you will be able to free yourself from all your dependencies and addictions, because you know what that means. we have a new perspective on where you can develop yourself. And that's exactly what's missing for many people, that they don't have a perspective, they don't have the opportunity for development in their old universe. They might rather feel trapped and just want to endure this pressure. And that's why the outlet is addictions and dependencies. I would like to give you an image to illustrate this. Imagine that your core essence, what you carry deep within your heart, truly wants to be lived and authentically revealed. And further imagine indeed that you have wrapped this core of your being with all the expectations of others, just how you are supposed to be. And then you might potentially take on a role that you don't want for yourself. This creates an unwanted obligation and more additional external pressure. And it can also happen that a feeling arises of indeed being trapped in a role or no longer being able to meet the demands of everyday life. And now if you imagine taking off this heavy coat, considering the weight and burden of this heavy coat that you may have been wearing for many decades, and start to get to know yourself piece by piece, bit by bit, anew, freeing yourself completely from all the dependencies and expectations of how you should be, and just being who you truly are without having to strive to be someone else or needing to be someone else. What kind of life, what kind of existence would that be? If you now allow yourself to fully activate this feeling of vibrant life within you in this particular exercise, then it is indeed precisely what we truly need to learn once again. To gradually turn down the inner critic that constantly wants to belittle you and keep you in your current life, and to turn up the volume of your heart and your true self more and more. In conclusion, I reiterate, this is a longer process and not an event. So give yourself time for your personal growth and development, and imagine how long you have been wearing this metaphorical cloak and walking around with it. And now you simply need to take the necessary time to treat yourself differently and free yourself from these burdensome and heavy energies that is this metaphorical heavy cloak. Yes, those were my additional thoughts on this topic. And if you definitely enjoyed this video, feel free to forward it to others or share it. And if you want more insights or a glimpse into my daily routines, just follow me on Instagram. The link is in the description below. See you next time. Bye. Ciao. Goodbye. Yuzand.